Georgia.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, I think the conversation here is fun, and with the two of you, working that, and I know my friend Brad as well, and the others on that committee are working very hard, and as someone who continues to serve, and on this committee, being a part of the Air Force, and Sergeant Major, yes, you and my chiefs, I still are the highest ranking in the room, so for anybody who's had one of those gold bars on their shoulders and runs into a sergeant major or a chief in any of the branches, we know who's in charge, so that's not a problem. Fortunately, I've moved on through great training from my chiefs and my senior NCOs, as we have. But a few things that I want to discuss here. One, the VA is, I've said this over and over again, there's no reason a veteran should have to call any of our offices to get help, period. That's the most ridiculous thing in our country right now, is that veterans have to call a congressional office to get help. That's just stupid, number one. And especially when it takes up, and I'm sure it does like in your offices, it does mine, we have currently somewhere in the range of 200 to 300, possibly 400 open VA cases. A lot of them are getting there. I mean, we've had issues just this past week where they couldn't get through. They had to call our office. The gentleman was having heart issues and ended up having heart surgery that night. But it took our office to try and get through to get to them. It's just, these are the kind of things. That's why, frankly, I am very extremely measured with the new secretary. I'm not convinced yet. I'm not remotely buying in on this appointment yet, because I have seen he comes from the previous administrations in which we've seen the simple stuff not get done. I mean, things like purchasing and things that are within the secretary's purview that does not need this Congress to work on. I mean, when you had issues at like the Atlanta VA, which we're not even getting scheduling issues, when they had a dishwasher break, a piece on their automatic dishwasher break. And because of the past problems with the cards, because instead of just firing people and getting rid of them and fixing the way we purchase, they had to put it through, because it's $17,000 or somewhere in that range, they had to put it through a whole RFP program. And so for over several months, we were actually buying paper products at a cost more than the part. That could have been fixed. Former secretary knew about it, didn't fix it. Had been run up the chain. So when they start making the simple stuff, it's almost trust but verify on this one for me. Because until they start doing the simple stuff, it's almost, I'm so glad y'all's bills are here and your amendments and we talk about those, but until we start doing the simple stuff, the employees have no direction. They don't see that from the top. And Dr. Rowe, I know we've talked about this many times, and Sergeant Major, you get this as well. This is something that's going to be worked on. And so I'm glad to see that as we move forward. You'll have all the support in the world from me on that as we go forward. But also, I do want to talk about the Second Amendment issue, and I do have the letter here. And if you don't, and most of you know that I'm a chaplain. I'm an attorney, but I'm also a chaplain. My service in the military is a chaplain, and not only here, but in Iraq and other places. I dealt with this on a very different level when it comes to suicide. When you hit suicide, you prick my ears up here, because probably, maybe Sergeant, maybe you, there's very few in this room from the perspective of counseling and working with people who pick up the phone and say, I want to kill myself, that it dealt with. So it bothered me when I first looked at and heard some of the comments that were made earlier, because I am very well aware of this. I started looking at this letter. I do have a couple of questions before I get to the letter. We're not, at this point, the way this is written is we're discussing adjudication. We're prohibiting, the current status would prohibit them from purchasing because they would be on the NICS list. Is that what we're saying that they're doing at this point?
Yeah, what happens is once you get a fiduciary, it's the only place in government where if you just get a fiduciary to help manage you automatically are placed on that list. There have been children on that list. There have been almost 10,000 people have gotten off the list. It shouldn't have been on there. They aged out and asked for. But in this particular thing, you're essentially assumed guilty before you can prove your innocence. It's usually the other way around.
So we're actually keeping them, what we're doing is we're keeping them from buying more weapons into things, or are we actually running, and I want you to explain this because there's a lot of questions here. Are we actually then, if they're putting them on lists, is someone actually going and taking the guns they currently have?
I can't answer that question, but I know you're not allowed to possess a firearm if you're on that list.
Okay, well,
no, it's illegal.
Yeah, the question is coming to get it. Here's the problem. They're coming to get it. They're not coming to get it because there's a problematic part of this, and that's why I support what we're doing here, and I'm going to tell you why in a second. The fiduciary is other parts. Is the bill clearly states that what we're saying here is this is fine if adjudicated. And I have a hard time with this word, so at some point I'm on the Judiciary Committee. I'm actually going to go back and look at this because I also do a lot in the mental health realm. Did not realize, even as an attorney, that under Title 18, adjudicated as a mental defective. That language is awful.
It is awful.
Yeah, it is. So this could be at some point, maybe through judiciary or somewhere else, we clean up the code. We need to get this kind of language out of there. Because if we're actually truly wanting to help people who are suicidal, who have mental health conditions, and have problems, what are we saying? We want you to come in so we can label you a defective. You're not defective. No more than when I had a boot on my leg was I defective because my Achilles was cut. You have something mentally wrong that we want to fix. You're valuable. But language like this is bad. And so that's another issue. But it's adjudicated. So when you get adjudicated, the problem here is it currently happens without adjudication, that it puts the onus on the service member to go in. I'm going to have another angle on this because I actually have service members who will not go to the VA because of a fiduciary, others who won't go to get help because this is going on. So one point I'm told we got to fight suicide because we're going to tell them that they can't go buy a gun. And then at the same point in time, I've got veterans who won't go to the VA because of this rule. But then I want to look at this letter. This is at the point in time where we just honestly can't seem to have at least some honest discussion back and forth. The first paragraph of this letter, and when I look at this letter, it does concern me, given the nature of this, that some of these generals on the back here signed this letter, and admirals. I understand the desire, and I think it was probably pitched to them as, we're going to help suicide prevention here, so this is a bad idea. But if they read the letter, God bless them, they put their sign on it. But look at what it says here. This proposal will put American veterans who need our support in the most way, in harm's way, providing them with easy access to firearms. Somebody stand up right now and tell me how this bill would provide, by not passing this bill, we provide easy access to firearms. Somebody here, this is crazy. So we're seeing here is, this proposal would put American veterans who need our support the most in harm's way by providing them easy access to firearms. Excuse me. Go raise money on your own time. That's ridiculous. And it makes all of these other discussions about those who truly need mental health treatment at risk. Because they're turning away now, and now we're adding this in and saying, don't do this. You know, again, we continue on here. This is great. It goes in here and it talks about mental health and the 20 veterans. Actually, frankly, it's more than 20. So we can do the 20 push-ups and 20, which Chairman and I actually did in support of this.
24.
24, exactly. Maybe I didn't know 25. But the problem is there's more than this because this only counts the ones that we know that have veterans care. There's more than this right now. And it's going to progressively get worse. But then this paragraph on the back page says, but they're not the only ones. In 2008, President Bush signed a law requiring all federal agencies to submit the names of individuals who are, catch this, legally prohibited from possessing guns to NICS. Notice what it says there. Legally, that's adjudicated. That means it's not been that you have a fiduciary. It means it's gone through the process. We've adjudicated you to be legally needing to be on this list. That's not what's happening right now. That's all this bill does. So if you want to proof check it by saying President Bush signed a letter saying this, well, at least get it right. At least be honest. Don't be deceptive. I appreciate their concern. I appreciate what they do for the coalition. But this is deceptive. It's not true. As we go through this is a matter of due process. As a chaplain and a lawyer, this hits me on both sides. But to simply say that by opposing this, we're going, as it says here, that you should provide easy access to firearms, we can debate that. That's another issue to debate on how easy access to firearms is. But to say this does that, Mr. Chairman, when I got this letter, I was already concerned. You know, I was going to vote for this bill. I think it's something that is good because it does provide the adjudication process from just simply fiduciary. It doesn't put the onus on the veteran. It puts this back at where it needs to be. But then when I see this, as someone who has been on the other end of that phone and used suicide as an excuse here, don't bring this to me. don't bring this to me when I have to deal with another chaplain in the United States because I found a military member and I had to help that unit when they found him in the bathroom, in the porta potty in Iraq because he killed himself. Don't bring this to me. Bring your arguments. If you want to say that we need more mental health, I'm with you. You say we need to help more, put more mental health dollars in it, I'm there. You say that we need to help them be encouraged to come in and not be called mental defectives, all in. But don't use another passion here to divert exactly what the bill does. It simply says, fine, if they're in this, adjudicate it. Adjudicate it, not just simply fiduciary. I appreciate all discussion in this. But I even appreciate the gentleman from Massachusetts actually using this. I don't care if a group does it. I do care if it's not right. I do care if it's inflammatory. And I do care that if it makes statements that are not clear at the expense of those that you serve and that I still serve with. This is wrong. Debate the bill, vote yes, vote no. Choice. But don't use something like this. And this is, I blame the group. Not that it was admitted, I blame the group. And I can't believe that these guys on the back who have better knowledge of this would sign on to something that's not truthful. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Gentleman, yes, back to time. Thank you very much. The gentleman